Yeah, on.
Two twins. Hey-oh! Whoa, 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 whoa. Do. Yeah. Let's go. LFG. Let's effing go. Good afternoon, Nub.
T, how are you?
I'm a little bit of a fanboy right now. I'm not going to lie. You're going to have to help me today because my man crush on Brendan Bayliss is pretty well known at this point.
It's pretty legendary.
So if I start to creep him out, like if you see him getting creeped out, just jump in, don't be afraid. Or just hang up, Bayliss, if you need to. No, I
gotta say, we've been to many Umphrey shows. I don't think you're the only one.
Yeah.
The man crushes for our guest in episode 43 are immense if you ever go see this band live.
One of the things that is getting talked about a lot right now in this glorious world we live in at the moment is normalcy, What is normalcy? When will we get back to normal, And damn, for me, and Nubs, I know this has been the case for you for several years, normalcy is Umphrey's coming to Detroit twice a year. That's when you kind of know that everything's, working the way it's supposed to. And for the last year, there are many things that have felt abnormal, but that's probably the first year since probably 2005 that I haven't seen this band. And
in our highly undisciplined, highly unstructured lives, that is one thing that keeps our year together.
Oh yeah.
Is Umphrey show.
Indeed. And I'm working on show number 58. Not that I count or anything.
Ish.
And yeah, we are just thrilled. Just absolutely freaking thrilled to have said man crush Brendan Bayliss join our podcast here. And we are just so thankful. Can we call you Bayliss?
Yeah, that's what most people call me.
Bayliss, welcome, good man. We are incredibly thankful to have you here.
No, I'm happy to be here, man. No one really calls me Brendan.
Well, it's funny. You guys are, there are bands that become a part of your musical tastes and a part of your catalog and all that. And then there are bands that, kind of just become a part of your life, become part of this sort of reoccurring nature of, like I mentioned, you're going to see them every year. You're going to have that interaction. You're going to get something unique because every show is different and every show has its own characteristics. And it really has kind of sucked balls to have to go a year without seeing you guys. But more importantly than us stupid fans, what's it been like for you to be off the road this long? I mean, you guys are obviously an incredibly hardworking band, to say the least, when it comes to the road. Have you enjoyed it? I know you have family now. Nubs and I have young kids too, so we sort of know what that's all about. But how's it been?
We've been gone for 21 years, basically constantly traveling. So I was initially, when we found out we were getting sent home, it was like, all right, I got a week off. And it's like, I might have 2 weeks. And then I woke up that Monday and realized, this is something, this is for real. So there was a little bit of a panic mode, which I think was natural for everybody.
Yeah.
Just because the whole world was freaking out. And then I kind of realized that this is my opportunity to kind of be home and see my kids grow up. Because I'm usually, I'll leave, I'll come home, and one of them's riding a bike when I come home or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I kind of embraced it that way to kind of look at it as an opportunity that I probably won't ever have again. So the first, say, 10 months, I was really digging it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And right after New Year's Eve, and it was like, okay, we're still here. Okay, I'm officially ready now. And so I think it's going to be a really good thing for the band because we're all kind of energized and being away from it, I think we all appreciate it a lot more, what we had and how good it was, how spoiled we were. Like having your own hotel room and catered dinner, and you don't have to deal with a kid crying about Legos all day, So.
Oh, you're at the Lego stage, huh?
We're
been there. Yeah.
How old are your kids again, Bayliss?
8, 7, and 5.5, almost 6.
Okay. Yeah, you're right in the thick of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was a nice reset, and now everybody's excited to get back. And I think all the little annoying things about the road and traveling and being gone, I think we'll be gone for at least the first couple of weeks while we're back.
Yeah, exactly. Before they get annoying again, right? I mean, just and again, personal. I mean, show 58 will be in May. You're coming to Detroit. Can't wait.
Nice.
I think people are just going to go ape shit. Not that they don't anyway at your shows, but I mean, the energy, you guys are top notch energy anyway on a normal night. But I can't wait for the just energy of you guys, to your point of kind of being happy to be back. And man, I think the crowd is just going to like feast on that. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm not planning on phoning it in now when we get back on stage, but I do feel like we could almost play like our worst stuff and people get
Yeah.
stoked.
Yeah, totally.
For a band that relies so much on the chemistry between the 6 of you, and anyone that's been to a show can see that there's even a groove within a show that you guys lock into, right? So what has been the process of you guys trying to stay united? I'm assuming you don't all live in the same house. How have you, which would be kind of weird if you did, how have you guys been able to stay united just musically? I'm sure you communicate and things like that, but how is it that you're going to take a stage again and not necessarily lose your individual chops, but lose the chemistry within the band and the ability to riff off of each other and all the things that make Umphrey so unique? What have you done to try and keep that going in the best way possible?
Well, we initially set up a Thursday afternoon conference call at the same time every Thursday for this whole pandemic. And oddly enough, it'd be a surprise to a couple people randomly like, oh, we're doing that again? Like, yeah, it's week 17. We're still doing the same Zoom. So once a week we had a meeting to kind of just go over business stuff and just check in with everybody. But we've been writing songs this whole time. We basically, when we went to do a stream at Jake's house in June, we tracked for 3 days and laid the foundation for 6 songs. And then when we did the stream in the Round in Chicago, we tracked for a couple days and got the skeletons for another 6 to 8 songs. So then basically we've been sending those back and forth to each other over the past couple months, adding parts, subtracting. So it's still connected, even though we're doing it, through email and stuff. It's not like we're completely disengaged. And we played a show last weekend, and it was surprising to me how much stuff I actually remembered. There's some complicated passages that were really hard to learn when we were writing them, but I think I've played them so many times. I don't want to jinx it, but so many times that a lot of it was coming back, and I was shocked that the hard stuff was coming back and some of the super easy stuff was not there. So, we have at least 6 gigs in May coming up. I think maybe more.
Yeah.
So, I'm not worried about us, falling off. I think everybody's kind of maintained their chops. A lot of guys are teaching lessons. I know I've played more guitar in the last year than I have in a long time. So,
well, that was kind of how you and I got acquainted. Was I saw that you were doing lessons, and I was like, hell yeah, and so, and I kind of, 20% wanted a lesson and 80% just kind of wanted to hang, talk music, but there are a couple other things I wanted to ask you, to see if you remember me. Number one, I'm always the idiot when you play in Detroit who requests words like 800 times. Does that get all the way to you or no? It
gets to me.
Okay.
I don't know what channels you're using.
Mostly the Twitter.
Yeah, those get to me.
Yeah, I'm that's always me, I must say. Nipple tricks and words are kind of my like go-tos as far as requests. And you played at your last Detroit show. So thank you. The second is, this is going back maybe 6 or 7 years ago. You guys played the Fillmore, the State Theater, but I guess it's the Fillmore now. And I had tweeted you before, like a day before the show, and I shared with you this incredible song called It's So Cold in the D.
Yes.
By T-Baby. And you did it. I mean, you sang like a verse. I was like going bonkers. I mean, so I'm going to thank you for that too. And then the last thing is Omega Moose. Magic Stick after the, was it 2 years ago? There was a complete jackass up front, middle-aged guy, shirtless. Do you remember that guy?
I do.
That was me. Yeah, that was me. Yep.
I didn't think jackass. I just thought this guy's getting down and brought the level in the room up a notch for sure. You
guys played Rio, and like that was it. The shirt was coming off.
I do remember that.
Well, it is even a doofus like me, the fact that I can even, have interaction with you guys, prior to in that way, and even get a couple things on the radar. It's part of the kinship of and the accessibility that you guys offer. And I think that's part of what makes it special. But obviously, none of that matters unless you guys are really, really good. And that's, I think, what it ultimately, sort of comes down to. And it's funny, hearing you talk about the hard stuff, the easy stuff. I think I've said this on the podcast before, so Nubs, you can attest, but I think you are top 3 rhythm guitarist in rock. And my, just so you know, the company, I'm going Malcolm Young, Hetfield, and you. So
I'm happy to be in that pile.
Yeah. And the percussive rhythmic, I mean, Jake's Jake, obviously he's going ballistic a lot up there, but something's got to hold it together. And plus Chris Nubs is a drummer, and we're fascinated by Chris. He's a wild man. So oftentimes it's really the rhythm guitar holding it together, and maybe not every ear can kind of sense that, but I sure can. And I think you're one of the best. So am I gushing? Am I creeping you out, or is this okay?
No, man, I appreciate hearing that, because there are times where Jake is so good and Chris is so good. I feel like I can see them in their minds. They're going through the Rolodex of, okay, what could I do right now? Like, I could do this fill, I could do that fill, I could do this. Like, they could do anything they wanted to.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'm trying to kind of navigate. So I'm just going right down the middle and being like, here we are.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it makes it gives, I guess, a foundation. So it's easier for them to kind of go off and spray and then kind of come back and have a landing.
Totally. Well, I've always felt you guys are, for Midwest musicians and music appreciators like us, like you guys are the band that we all wish we would have started, and part of what's awesome is, the way you guys are music appreciators. It's not just up there flying around. I mean, you guys obviously have the chops to do it, but whether it's the cover songs, whether it's some of the genres and styles you cover in your own material, we're going to talk about Mantis, which obviously is a rather proggy approach, and one that at least feels conceptual in some way. Love to get your thoughts on that. You guys have just covered so many bases, and it really shines through that you guys just love music. And I'm sure there are a lot of people that go to your shows to just, get crazy and let loose, and that's fine. That's all part of it. But there are many of us that are, being a little bit more analytical and saying, man, it's cool when they made that move or went to that place or played that cover song and, paid homage to whoever. I mean, it's really cool to see the way you guys not just play and project music, but appreciate it.
Well, we were always going to concerts, in high school and college, all coming up. And I think everybody in the band basically one day said, I don't want to pay for this anymore. I want to go do it. So I think we all kind of came from the same place as being fans of music first. And I think everybody appreciated the influences of other people, and we never fought about it. And I've talked about this before, where Stasek will be into like a heavy metal band, and I'll be into some acoustic Indigo Girl stuff.
Right.
We do not belong in the same room, but we've learned to accept that everybody listens to other things and kind of respect that and not force your will.
Yeah.
So while he's shirtless requesting words, which is all accurate, I'm like the nerdy prog guy in the back of the room trying to convince the people there that are just there for the experience about your studio work and why it's really important. And I think what's cool about your band, but also, and I'd love your take on this, what was confusing to me early on about your band is that people called you a jam band. And I think that's because you had long passages and solos and things like that. But I remember when I first started checking you guys out, and certainly after Mantis came out, to me, and I am a total prog nerd, and we've talked about this a lot on the podcast, but to me, Umphrey's McGee is a progressive rock band, easily just done. And I concentrate so much on you guys' studio output. I love going to shows, but I love the records too. And I'm always trying to bring those more to the surface because I think your live shows get so much attention, and deservedly so, because of what you guys do. But do you ever feel like, from a studio album perspective, that there's some misunderstanding about what kind of band you are, almost that in some ways the albums are overlooked or underappreciated just because the live show is such a central focus of what you do as a band? And with that, how come you guys aren't just seen as a prog band? How come you get labeled all these other things when really, in my opinion, you're just an excellent progressive rock band? What do you think?
Well, we think of ourselves as a progressive rock band. And when we came up, it was definitely, we were doing a set and a set break and an encore. So it was the format that was kind of put out there by the Grateful Dead, Fish, Mo, all these bands that we were like the little guys coming up, trying to get opening spots or, play on the same festival bill. So I think because we played in that format, we're kind of already thrown into it. And then we do have a lot of long songs, a lot of solos, and we are all over the place, and we do play covers. So there are a lot of similarities, and I get that. I'm not frustrated by it. As long as the people are listening, I really don't care. They can call it what they want. I mean, we made a mistake by naming the band the worst name ever. So it's almost like we'll take anything, so.
Who else says that, Bayliss? Dave Grohl. I've heard him say that many times. Foo Fighters, what the hell kind of name is that? So I don't think you're the only one.
Well, people say, you don't want to live your life with regrets, but that's the only one I have.
How about the role of the studio albums? Just in terms of the Umphrey's experience, do you feel like those get the attention that they actually deserve?
I don't know. I don't think so. My gut tells me that people kind of listen to the new thing for a little bit and then they move on to the next new thing. So I don't think they ruminate. But I actually listened to Mantis today and I thought about it. I was like, I have not listened to this thing. And probably the last time was when we got it on vinyl. Did a vinyl pressing. So usually I'm like completely immersed in these things. So as soon as it's done and mastered, I listen to it 2 or 3 more times and then I move on. So I understand if people move on because I'm doing it myself.
Right.
But we are a live band and that's how we make our living, and be it a blessing and a curse that's the label. Maybe the albums do get overlooked. I really don't know. I'm in a bubble and I try not to find out.
Well, part of why we're here is because there's certainly one. There are several, but there's certainly one that we certainly don't overlook, and we want to dig into it today. First, why don't we do a little round and round? And Bayliss, if you want to chime in, we'd love to know what you're listening to lately. Let's kick into it. Nub, why don't we go to you first? What's round and round for you this week, buddy?
So this is a band that I'm almost pissed at myself that I just discovered. And I discovered it through the Prog Report podcast, which is a podcast that I listen to pretty regularly. And the band is Big Wreck. And this is a group that was they start off in Atlantic Records. The front man of the band is Ian Thornley, who went on to do some other projects. He did a solo gig that I actually reviewed in the mid 2000s, but this debut from Big Wreck is called In Loving Memory Of, and it is an absolutely incredible album. And I literally just discovered it last week. And this is one of those bands I wish I would have discovered at 17 in 1997, but it's got that good, thick kind of 90s production and that major label sound, but really crafty songwriting and just amazing stuff. So
I'll have to check that out.
Have you heard of them, Bayliss?
I think I heard that when you named the album title, it started to ring a bell. But off the top of my head, I don't know enough to even say anything.
You would love it. Check it out. Big Wreck in loving memory of. It's on Atlantic. I mean, I don't know how this band slipped through the cracks. I really don't, but glad to discover them, almost 30 years later. So album 2 for me is from 2004. This is the album Meltdown by Ash. Cool band and an album I like. It's very energetic. And third for me is a new album with a lot of not new artists. And that is the Prague Collective with Worlds on Hold. This actually came out this year. And the whole thing is headed up by Billy Sherwood, who has kind of been in and out of the band Yes for a long time and also done some other side work. But it's got a ton of guest artists from Prague past. It's one of these deals too, where they do it all remotely and you've got 500 guests on it and they all contribute a guitar solo and then get a credit and then get licensing and then get paid. So it's got like Bumblefoot. It's got Todd Rundgren. It's got Steve Hillage, Steve Hackett. So a lot of good artists on it, but it's a really terrific album. And like I said, Billy Sherwood kind of heads the whole thing up. So I've been enjoying that lately as well. So here's words I never thought I'd say on the podcast. Brendan Bayliss, what's going round and round for you?
Well, a friend of mine got me Modest Mouse, The Moon versus Antarctica on vinyl.
Nice.
So I've been listening to that one a lot. Not as much as I'd like to, because there's some bad words that my children run around. So when they're outside, I crank Isaac Brock and just let them scream. Yeah, talk about man crushes. I think Isaac Brock, I have a man crush on him.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome.
Very gifted songwriter. The way his lyrics make you, it's almost like, man, I wish I would have thought of that. Yeah, he's a beauty. We got to see them. They came and did a festival, actually Rothbury Festival. You guys did that.
Umphrey's was there. They were on the second stage or something like that. If I remember right. It
was in like 2009. But they that was when they were playing with Mar and they played at that festival and they were sweet. It was great to see him up there with him. I've got an interesting one. This is Boney M. So this is a 70s disco funk deal out of Germany. And so, Frank Farian, the Milli Vanilli guy,
the man behind Milli Vanilli.
Yeah. So this was like one of his first successful groups. And actually this was like late 70s and he had a similar deal. There were 2 people in the band that actually sang and performed and the other 2 faked it. But nobody cared. Probably because Boney M didn't win a Grammy like Milli Vanilli did, but they're great. It's like, kind of weird and disco-y and, probably lots of coke going on. And
how do you spell that?
Boney and then M, the initial.
Boney M.
They've got a couple actually well known. You know how I got to know them is my kids are doing Just Dance, that video game thing. And there's a song on there from these guys that was a pretty big hit called Rasputin. And if you listen to it, you'd probably know it. It's from 78. And I was like, man, that's kind of a jam. And so I looked it up. And I'm like, oh, this is Boney M. So,
hey, real quick before we leave that though, Bayliss, what do you think about a Girl You Know It's True cover from Milli Vanilli?
Woo.
I could see you guys like kind of killing that one.
Yeah, but will we have to stop on the Girl You Know It's Good?
Yeah, the skip.
And run off the stage. Yeah.
I mean, I could see a reference coming in there soon. We haven't talked about learning any new covers, but
the other thing I've harassed you guys about is I really want you guys to do the Rocky IV training montage by Vince DiCola.
Yes, we're very familiar with it. Sometimes that gets put on backstage to pump us up.
Cummins would kind of destroy that one, I believe.
Yeah, it's basically anytime that there's doubt or fear or anything wrong, that album is backstage on the bus many times.
Just to get you fired up. As long as you don't think about the Apollo part, the rest of it will get you charged up.
If he dies, he dies.
Dlya Sebya, right?
Yep, for me.
Solid. Well, that's good round and round. My other 2 are the Fine Young Cannibals debut, a little rolling gift for you. Big fan. And the Deftones, self-titled record. So Boney M, Deftones, and Fine Young Cannibals. That just sums up. It's almost like an Umphrey set list as far as eclecticness there.
I'll throw one more in there because I got vinyl. I've been listening to Paul's Boutique a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, we love that.
We did an episode on Check Your Head, and it was. In fact, I don't know if you've seen our episode list, but I kind of gathered up the ones we've done that have a connection to you guys in a way. So, Toto, we did Toto's debut record. You guys do a couple Toto cuts. How amazing were those guys, by the way? We did And Justice for All, which you guys, I don't think you've played that in a while, but you guys do a killer full version of the title track from that one.
Yeah, that one's always fun.
Yeah.
It's long, so it's a commitment.
Yeah, it is a commitment. Speaking of commitment, we did King Crimson Red.
Nice.
And that one's great. And Nubs actually told the story of you guys played Pontiac, Michigan Clutch Cargos with Adrian. Mm-hmm. And Nub, you told the story. You actually, I think maybe during Umphrey set break, you went to the back of the venue and just found Adrian Blue sitting in a room, and you hung out with him for a few minutes, right?
I did. It was the craziest thing. It wasn't during set break, but it was during the triple wide, you were playing the full extent of it. And so I just started wandering a little bit, and I literally just found him sitting in this kind of room in the basement of Clutch Cargos playing guitar. And he was the absolute kindest, nicest dude. I was just blown away. And I was talking about fanboy. I mean, you don't get to meet a member of King Crimson every day.
or a member of Zappa or the Talking Heads or David Bowie or whatever else.
Exactly. He must have been a great guy to tour with, though.
Super nice. I mean, like a teddy bear. Super nice. Just hilarious, great stories, very good energy, and very open to whatever.
And you guys played Theta Hoon, I think, together that night which was awesome.
Yeah, we did that in Red with him for sure, and then a couple.
Yeah. So we did that. We did Huey Lewis in the News Sports.
Oh yeah. And
he played on Women, Wine, and Song, right? In the studio.
Yep.
So there's the Huey. I mean, you guys are kind of buds, aren't you?
Yeah. We became friends the first night I met him. I got completely hammered and fell and hit my head. And picked me up, took me to bed, and tucked me in.
You got tucked in by Huey Lewis.
It's a classic story, really.
I hung out with him, yeah. We hit it off.
He seems like an awesome dude. I know he's jammed with you guys a few times in New York City gigs, I think, and those type of things.
Yeah, super nice guy.
We did Kid A, which we both kind of bashed. We were not too keen on Kid A in hindsight, but you guys do a great version of National Anthem, which is
it's much better than the Radiohead version.
I think. Is OK Computer the one that they blew up?
Yeah, that was Paranoid Android, and
the Benz was a little bit of the setup, and then OK Computer was the commercial payoff. It was huge.
Yeah, OK Computer is one that I really like.
Yeah, OK Computer is amazing. In fact, we mentioned that in the episode that OK Computer kicks ass, and Kid A, maybe they went a little too far. We did Flock of Seagulls, self-titled. You guys do I don't know if I know you do Iran. Have you ever done Space Age Love Song?
No, just Iran.
Yeah, that would be a nice one.
Can you? Yeah. It's one of my favorite songs of all time, man.
Sure. We did Vulgar Display of Power, Little Pantera. Ooh. And which you guys get dirty. I think it's been a while since you did. I think Cowboys from Hell you've done before, but
we did it 2 summers ago in New Jersey.
Do you get a kick out of when you guys pull out the big metal, kind of looking out and seeing all some of your more hippie side of the crowd sort of not know what to do?
Yes.
When you play Wizard?
Yeah, it's entertaining to me, but it's also almost you're looking at it and you can tell some of these people, it's not what they would go to, but we're going to make you do this because music is music and you need to embrace all kinds of it. You can't just be shut off.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Nice to kind of sprinkle in a little education.
By the way, Wizard is a real masterpiece. I mean, how long does a composition like that take you guys?
Jake wrote most of that. And
did he?
Yeah, he basically had all the sections in he showed up and was like, okay, I got this riff, and he'd play it, and he's like, I got this, and we basically stuck them all together. And then Pony had a bass line outro at the end. Maybe Joel had the piano part too. That might have been in there.
Middle part, yeah.
But I think he kind of just came up with basically all the parts, and then we put it together in a day at the studio. And I think we've subsequently sped it up because I don't remember it being as fast as the last time we played it.
Yeah. You never did that. Did you guys ever record that in the studio?
We might have tried. There's definitely a couple songs that we've recorded that we never put out just because it just didn't click.
Okay.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Setting up a click track for that would not be easy.
And then the last one I'll mention is actually, this was last week. We did Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. Little Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think you guys jam a little relax whenever you're feeling it, which is awesome. So, but we're here to plow through something that in fact, I'm going to show you. I don't know if you can see behind me. No one listening is going to be able to see this, but those are all since 1990. When I was 10 years old, Nubs and I have picked an album of the year every year. So you can see pretty much from then until now. And I don't know if you can see it from here.
Yeah.
Old 2009.
Yep. Mantis.
Big winner. And that's kind of what we want to dig into here while we have you. And I think to Nubs's point earlier, the studio work, and I think, Similar Skin was a great record too. And It's Not Us. And it seems like you guys are sharpening up a bit in the studio as far as like just stuff really sounding layered and good and full and kind of the way that, for a lot of these songs, especially kind of the heavier stuff, it's really coming across nicely. But it seemed like Mantis was a turning point for you guys in your studio career as far as, correct me if I'm wrong, I think every track you hadn't played live yet.
It's true.
But yeah. You guys, your composition, we talked a little bit about it with Wizard. It's really fascinating to kind of, get an idea for, more often than not, is it collaborative? Are there certain songs that you kind of have them laid out and it's like, here, boys, this is what it's going to be? Or Jake or Joel or whoever else. For Mantis in particular, how did the composition come about? Was it individualistic or was it pretty collaborative or was it sort of all the above?
It's all the above. Every album is the same in that there's no real formula. The most common formula, I think, of all the songs is Jake writing some instrumental stuff and sending it to me. And then I layer vocals on top of it and send it back to everybody. And then everybody now will kind of get in the room and we'll tweak it, maybe add a bar here, take this out, double this, cut that, or kind of amend it. So that, I guess, for a fair amount of the tunes is kind of like the formula, but sometimes I'll have a song and I'll send it in and it's pretty much finished, but I won't have like a keyboard part, or I won't, I'll have a super simple bass line because I suck at bass. So where Jake will send in something and it's almost like drums, bass, guitar, almost finished. So it's kind of all over the place, but like an example for this was Cemetery Walk. We did that together. We got a dry erase board in the studio and basically we would try it as A, B, C, write the order, and everyone knew what the A meant and the B went. And that was one where we literally together tried it, and we decided to make the rule in the studio that from now on, everybody that suggests something, we have to at least try it. Because if it benefits the song, that's the way we should, roll with it.
Yeah.
Instead of saying no, and because sometimes as a songwriter, you come in with an idea and you give it, and then people start to tweak, and you're like, "Hey, I'm not jiving with that." But if that's how, if you're kind of locked like that, then it kind of sets up. It doesn't set up for a good, composition, because I feel like a lot of the best stuff that we've done is collaborative.
Okay.
because somebody will tweak an idea and make it better or add a section to something that was missing.
Yeah, let's definitely dig into it. One of the things we wanted to do before we get into the record is, sometimes when we focus on a certain album or band, we like to throw out a top 5. And so we were thinking maybe we'd give you our top 5 Umphrey's jams of all time. Nub, you want to throw down a top 5?
I think it's only appropriate. Then we get Bayliss's thoughts on some of these. I think that'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be great before we dig into the record.
So first for me would be Miami Virtue, the opening track off Dead by Stereo. And the song stands out to me just for, and I think T and I talked about this when the record came out. It's got like such a Rush influence, particularly at middle section. There's something about the way that the guitar tones and that synthesizer part mix. Mm-hmm. And I love the fact that it's in essence a pop song, but it's very, very complex too, and it's got that driving kind of opening. And I think you guys pull it off live exceptionally well, but I love it as the opener off that album. And it's been a favorite of mine since that album came out. So my number 5 would be Miami Virtue.
Nice. That song was called Miami Virtue because we were in the studio working on it at Jake's place, and it was a microKORG keyboard, and the sound, Jake was trying to come up with a bass line to go with. I think I had like the guitar part.
Yeah.
Trying to think of something because Pony wasn't there that day. So Jake was playing bass on the keys, and the sound that he ended up using was called Miami Virtue. Just that was the effect.
Oh, really?
So we tend to.
Well, that explains it, because I wonder what the hell did they call this song?
That's awesome. So that was like the effect on the synth.
Yep.
That just writes itself,
Yeah, we're not really the best at naming things.
I think your song titles are pretty awesome, actually. There are certainly many that I'm sure there's a great story behind, but I must say, in Nub, we don't talk about these in advance, but Miami Virtue's number 5 for me as well. So what do you got for 4, Nub?
4 for me would be off Similar Skin, which aside from Mantis is probably my favorite of the studio albums. I just think it's you guys really hitting stride in terms of that thick sound and kind of the overall production that T mentioned earlier. But for me, it'd be Puppet String. Just because it doesn't get a whole lot better than do. I mean, the way that you incorporated that riff into the verses too. I like how the verses are really open, and then it just goes into this gigantic thing there during the choruses. And then in Bayliss, vocally, I just love what you bring to the table. And when you're singing that last chorus, the outro, and then you do that high note, and then it kind of explodes at the end. It's magic to me. That album to me just hits a lot of peaks, but maybe none better than the end of Puppet String. And I think that's one song I saw you guys play live before the studio version. And it's a good example of the studio version eclipsing, I would say, the live performance even. So that's number 4 for me.
I have a little side note about Puppet String. I wrote that riff on a keyboard and E flat. So it was all black notes. So it was super easy to play. And I was showing it to the guys, and they were like, And then, so I was like, I know it's good. So then I figured out, okay, let's just raise it up a half step so I can play it on guitar with distortion. And then it became cool.
Nice. I'm going to stay on Similar Skin and go with No Diablo, which, a bit from a tempo standpoint and sort of a groove standpoint, you guys have certainly done this type of thing before, but groovy song, catchy song, but one with a lot of feeling, and you guys start singing in the round at the end and all that. I mean, it's a great song, great live song, great one to bounce around to.
Thank you. Yeah, I wrote that for Jake's kid when Jake asked me to be his son's godfather.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
I went home, was like, I was picturing myself sitting on a front porch with Towns and like saying, okay, Mom and Dad are going out to dinner. You and I are hanging out tonight. You ever play with fireworks?
Nice.
That kind of thing.
It's a great song. So it was that one that you sort of composed for the most part, top to bottom? Yeah,
I sent that over. I'm so bad at piano. I literally had to play the piano parts separately tracked. So I tracked the right hand part And then I went and tracked the left-hand part because I could do them both at the same time.
I don't know. I've watched a few of your Why Nots, and I got to say, as you continue to consume, the piano playing kind of gets better. But no, you can play enough of the old. You can tickle the ivories enough to be dangerous, I would say.
Take it till you make it, right?
Go ahead, Nub.
Number 3 for me is actually the opening track off an album that I discovered sort of recently from Umphrey, because I've been so obsessed with your last few things. And by last few, I mean like the last, 10, 15 years of output. Andy's Last Beer, the opener off Local Band Does Okay. And I didn't, that's one where I heard it live. I think it was a Kalamazoo show. Maybe you guys opened with it. Really good opener, by the way, too. And I just love the groove of it. It's more playful. I'm like the nerdy guy who gets really into the serious kind of Umphrey stuff, but I dig also when you guys get a little bit more whimsical and playful, and Andy's Last Beer certainly achieves that for me. So I just think it's kind of a total jam. It seems like you guys still enjoy playing that one, even though it's, like off your first album, basically.
Yeah, I like it. It just reminds me of being back in South Bend. And that tune, basically, I had the first half up to the da-da-da-da-da bomb, the clapping part we do live. And Joel had something for the end of that. We just basically took 2 ideas, stuck them together, and Farrig, the day after we finished it, the next day he was like, I think I just had my last beer. I'm so hungover. I'll just call it Andy's Last Beer.
Nice. Haven't we all said that?
Bayliss, that wasn't his actual last beer, was it?
No.
I just want to make sure.
He doesn't drink much, but I think he was so crushed that he was convinced, but he probably made a couple weeks.
As we all do.
Yeah. Got back on the horse. Yeah, nice.
Exactly.
You grew up in South Bend, right?
I had moved to South Bend in 6th grade. My dad was a tennis coach at Notre Dame. We were on the East Coast for the first 12 years. I lived in Maryland for 8 years, and Annapolis and Boston for 4.
Okay.
But I started free thinking, in South Bend.
Yeah. Well, by the way, we're up in Michigan. Don't hold that against us because we hate U of M. And I'm a Jayhawk. He's a Buckeye. And we're both very, very soft on the Irish. We both.
Oh, yeah.
We both really like Brian Kelly and really, as long as they're not playing Kate. By the way, what years were you there? Were you at Notre Dame?
I graduated in 98. So.
Okay.
4 to 98.
Because in 1999, I was a sophomore at I went to KU, Kansas, and we opened the season against you guys up in South Bend, and I got to go to a game there, and I mean it was a blast. Like the tailgating, it was solid. We had a great time. But
and I'm an Ohio State grad, and we play you guys in like 5 years or something. We scheduled a home at home with Notre Dame. And I will be in South Bend for that game. That will be amazing. Ohio State versus Notre Dame will be a huge deal for us for sure.
Yeah.
You guys crushed my dreams too many times. The Brady Quinn years. What was your linebacker?
AJ Hawk. Remember all they did was show AJ Hawk's girlfriend who was marrying Brady Quinn. Yeah.
Sisters.
Whatever. Yeah. It was Brady Quinn's sister. That's right. Whatever it was.
Just kept stacking him and just probably like, I'm banging your sister.
Exactly.
Well, we're Irish friendly up here. My third is DBK. So I'll reach back a bit to the early catalog. And Bayliss, we were actually down at the very first Humble. We made the trip and I remember you guys did like a funk version at that one, which was kind of a unique take on DBK, which obviously is one of the long pieces. It's between DBK and 2x2 are both 2 of my favorite longer pieces that you guys do. But DBK was probably is that one of the first songs you guys wrote? At least one of the first.
Yeah, that was written around the same time as 2x2. There was a summer that Stasek was in Japan. So it was just me, Joel, Miro, and Farrig.
Right.
And I was trying to get away from the jam band thing. So I was trying to come up with more heavy, flat 5 riffs that were more dissonant, because I felt like if we keep playing songs like Front Porch, we're definitely going to just go this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was intentionally trying to be aggressive.
Those are both great. Those are both
it's
great.
called Der Blutenkat because the drum fill at start is Der Blutenkat.
Oh, is that I was going to ask, and then I was like, it's probably some like, I thought it was like a different language, and it's like, be like stupid for asking, but okay.
No, next
that makes sense.
Listen to the drum fill to start the song, and it sounds like someone saying they're blue.
That's awesome. All right, now 2 to go.
Okay, I'm thinking my number 2 is also on your list. So I'm just going to check right now. Is Wife Soup on your list?
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to just do that now? Yeah. So nice. Wife Soup, and I think T's going to agree with me on this. It's got to be the full version of Wife Soup.
Yeah.
Complete with the ending.
The only time you guys have pissed me off, there have been a couple of times where you played it and didn't rock the ending, and it's like blue balls. It's like musical blue balls.
Well, we don't want to do that. Is the ending the part where they're singing?
You wouldn't even believe your eyes. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? Maybe we meant to come back to it and the night took a turn.
Yeah. I think that's what it only happened like once, I think, but
that's that song is called Wife Soup. We're talking about song names. I was reading a Tom Robbins book while writing that song. And one of the chapters was, he was talking about one of the characters, and he was like, blah, 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 kind of like, not unlike a wife soup. I was like, Wife Soup. Let's call it Wife Soup.
Love the song title process.
I do too.
That you have. Did you write most of that one?
So that was kind of put together. I wrote like the verse parts, and then I think Jake and I kind of stuck that one together. It's one of the first we did with Chris. So there was definitely a collaborative effort in that one. I think I had like the chorus progression and the verse progression, and then Jake had the arpeggio sweep, and I actually wrote the interlude, dun, 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 just like on a whim. And I was kind of not even going to show the guys because I thought I was just too classical. And some of the guys thought that was their favorite part of the song. So it's like, see, it goes to show you don't really know. I'm not quoting the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, that is a cool part of the song. That ending where everybody's singing except for Pony, and kind of doing the harmonies in the background, and you're, up high. That is high drama at an Umphrey show. It's a beauty every time.
Yeah, it tends to work when we do it right. One time on my birthday, we were in Virginia, and I was having a great time, and I was just walking around the stage, and like they all went to sing, and I was way across, like far from my mic. I was like,
You needed one of those, Rick Savage microphones. Yeah.
Bayliss, are you too close to a song like that to feel the emotion of it? Because like I think T is right. When you guys hit that ending, and I'm not just talking about the live show, I'm talking about the recording too. I mean, there's a pinnacle to that. There's an emotion to the way that song concludes, and then the a cappella part at the end is really powerful as well. But it's like a goosebump moment for fans, but for you, it's work. But do you still feel like when you hit kind of those moments of a song like Wife Soup, do you still feel the kind of tickle or the goosebump or anything like that? Or have you just done it so many times that it's old hat?
No, I do. And that part too, it's one of those that it's weird because I'll go up to sing it at the end, and sometimes it's weird because something will pop in my head. Like, remember the time your voice cracked opening for Dave Matthews at Alpine Valley? And I'm like, don't think about these things right now. And then when I realize I'm analyzing it, I try and just completely shut off and tap into the emotion of it. And that kind of tends to wash over me. And for a few seconds, I'm kind of lose time and I'm with everybody in the moment. So yeah, it's not something that is lost on me.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Cool. All right. What's number uno?
Well, it's not easy to pick numero uno, but for me, I'm going to go with Haji. Haji is all. I've never had to say the whole damn title of it.
You knew
Haji
you were
Memeshite.
You knew you were going to fuck that up, didn't you?
Haji. Can we just say that? I know. I'm sure you guys just call it Haji too.
Haji Mamashte.
Haji Mamashte.
I've been saying that wrong for 20 years.
It's nice to meet you in Japanese.
Oh, is it? Okay. All right. There you go. So Haji is my number one. Again, same idea in terms of the peaks and valleys, the kind of ins and outs rhythmically and everything that's going on there. And no other band could or is doing anything like a track like that. And again, I think falling onto the Death by Stereo album too. And I know you guys played that song live, I think for years before the actual recording of it, but the recording really lives up to the live performance of it. But I just think guitar wise and that whole late movement and the guitar solo outro is, I mean, it's pretty amazing stuff.
Stasek and I wrote that. It's the first song we ever wrote together in college. And the original version is 15 minutes long with all this weird stuff. He's talking in Japanese and I'm translating. And it's very sophomoric college. But the middle part that is now Hajime Mache, we just cut the first 7 minutes and the last 5 minutes and just now only play that middle part.
Does sophomoric mean that you guys were high AF in yeah.
Yes.
well, mine is Words, which I mentioned, up front, and man, what a gorgeous song. How did that one, obviously it's kind of in 3 parts. Mm-hmm. So were those pieces that just kind of fit together, or was that something that was composed as a whole?
Jake had the first part, which is it's in 7 and then it's in 5. And then that became like the verse in the top. Joel had the middle part. Mm-hmm. And then Jake had something for the end, and then stuck it all together. And then I went home with it and put words on words.
Yeah. Gorgeous song. A great vocal too.
And by the way, that list, we made a rule before, doesn't include Mantis songs because we know we're going to talk about that in the episode. But I will tell you that 3 of the 5 would have been off Mantis for me. And I'll gush on about those when we get to track by track, which I know is coming up to you.
Hey, it's Toph, and we hope you enjoyed part 1 of our time with Brendan Bayliss of Umphrey's McGee. And next week will be, let's see, what comes after part 1? Oh yeah, part 2. So make sure to tune in next week, and we will dive further into the Mantis album with the nerdy deets and the track by track. See you then for part 2 of episode 43.